Hey there, Back Games thread. This is Nigroth here, bringing you a hopefully wanted addition to the thread. This is a, God, what is this? This is PN03, a GameCube exclusive. I'll explain it a little bit more, but let's go ahead and start on the normal difficulty. And right off the bat, we are going to be getting into a cinematic of pure excitement. But for the most part, though, I'm going to go ahead and break a little golden rule of LP. And I'm actually just going to be talking over it mostly because there is no dialogue. We do get introduced to this lovely, lovely environment. Thankfully, this is not where the majority of the game takes place. It actually takes place in a much, much worse environment. But to give you a little bit of a backstory about this particular game, basically around, I think about 2002, Capcom was feeling like the GameCube was getting a tad bit stagnant. So they decided to do something revolutionary, and they introduced a jittering woman into the game. No, they decided to do something which was later referred to as the Capcom 5, which was to make some GameCube-only titles. And needless to say, it did not go as well as they planned. This was actually the first title released of the GameCube 5. There were actually only 4 titles released for the GameCube 5. And only one of them actually stayed GameCube exclusive, which was PN03. Now, why am I playing this for the Bad Games thread? I mean, it's obviously got some kick-ass cinematics here as we watch the main character, Vanessa Schrodinger, fight things. Also, I do not give a shit about the plot. Just to sum up the plot, you are a woman given a magical suit. You're a mercenary and you have to go fight robots run amok. They're on a bunch of different planets, and well, the fact that they're on different planets never really factors into anything, but, well, needless to say, we are now going to get into proper gameplay. Now, the HUD is pretty simplistic, as you can tell. We have a life bar and another orange bar. Also, Vanessa has really great lock-on potential. You can see the crosshair up there. And you can see here her primary means of attack, which is the palm shot, I think is what they call it. Actually, a bit of a funny story. In the original design of the game, I think there are still a few pictures flying around the internet, Vanessa actually was supposed to carry dual-wielding pistols. But due to some constraints with the game's development, they ended up, well, having to just suffice with her shooting magical plasma bolts out of her Aegis suit, which is what that dialogue would have told us, which was, hey, we've given you a magic robot suit. Lets you shoot shit and lets you do seductive dodge maneuvers. Yeah, pretty much the one thing that might strike most people, or at least most of the perverts on the internet, is Vanessa's butt. This game seems to really, really over-sexualize her. And, well, we do get access to quite a few different moves. These are called energy drives. And these energy drives will allow us to pretty much dispatch any of the enemies we run into pretty quickly. The main problem being that you can now tell the orange bar above the green health bar is actually, well, it's a little bit smaller than it was before. Thankfully, we do have plenty of pickups, or a total of 2 different kinds of pickups we can get in the game, which is orange to fill up our energy bar and green to fill up our health. And here we are getting harassed by these really intelligent enemies that are just minorly more fast than we are. Also, I was pretty sure I totally whiffed that particular energy drive attack, but, well, there you go. But you can also see that there is a combo meter. This game is very heavy into the idea of combos and points and grinding, and that's just one of its many, many, many problems. It is a very grind-heavy game. Now, it's not an especially long game. It only has about 13 missions all total, but in between those 13 missions, there are trial missions, which, well, you do need to do to get certain things, and, well, let's go ahead into this mysterious, innocuous-looking door here. And we'll actually get into the real meat and potatoes slash problem of the game. And that is, the game is very heavy into corridors. Like, when I say very heavy into corridors, it is probably about 90% of what you're seeing right now. Very simplistic design, very repetitive. And, well, it may not seem initially difficult. This game is actually very hard. I mean, just this first stage alone, there's 21 different rooms. And, well, the health drops are actually, well, not very plentiful, and neither are the energy drops, but the game is wanting you to keep in a hurry and to not get damaged and to keep your combo up, so there is an almost constant need to keep moving, and as you can tell by not getting damaged, we do get a point bonus, and the points are actually a form of currency, so they're not just like an arbitrary numbered thing, but yeah, I guess I should explain a little bit about the enemies themselves. They follow a pretty specific pattern for the most part. We've seen, well, the outside little hovercraft enemies. We've seen these little flying satellites, and most dangerous of all are these particular little dual machine gun tanky enemies on the ground here. They actually do a lot of damage comparatively, and even though the game says use the topography to your advantage, it's actually better just to jump straight up. Now, there is actually a duck button, but I haven't actually found a use for it yet. Usually if someone is shooting at you, it's actually best just to try to jump towards them. Now, there is a dodge mechanic, and you can probably tell as she twirls and cartwheels about. The main problem with the dodge mechanic, and this might just blow your fucking mind, is that you can't actually dodge and shoot at the same time. In fact, if you are already locked into the shooting, well, you're not going to be able to dodge, and you're not going to be able to move. Really, if you do try to like move, or if you try to move and shoot at the same time, well, you may notice that she will switch from arm to arm, and, well, you're just going to get mildly confused while you're not moving. Also, in case you're wondering what the point of this particular dead-end room is, it's completion, I guess, or if you wanted to, actually looking at our energy, it would be good to get a little bit of a refill, and that is definitely what this room is made for. Also, it's just got some pretty simplistic enemies, so it's not too much of a dangerous room. And as you can probably tell, there are different sizes to the pickups that we can get, and, well, it's not too difficult to figure out that small fills a lesser amount than the larger pickups. But hey, guess what? That was a dead end, so now let's backtrack through empty corridors. Now, from what I was reading, they people at Capcom wanted to make a game kind of like Devil May Cry, which was very popular at the time. But they were afraid of doing something that people would see as a copy of Devil May Cry. So they wanted to go with something with a cleaner, what they defined as more feminine aesthetic. Which is why they went with a lot of these straight, plain white areas. And in the end, it really worked against them because, seriously, this game is repetitive as hell visually. And I guess, like, overall, I would say the animations for Vanessa are very smooth, if not overly sexualized. But there are just so many problems outside the aesthetic that are really hard to get across, because right now, it seems like I'm doing okay. But you have to realize at this point, we're only about halfway through this particular mission. And we just saw a little mechanic there where sometimes you do have to defeat every enemy in a room before you can continue, so it's not always necessary to kill everything, but we actually do need as many points as possible because Well, as we'll be seeing in a couple of rooms, well, we can buy upgrades, and oh look, dangerous lasers. How are we going to get past this, Snake? Well, that was difficult. And here we have the first major hurdle of this particular mission. It really goes into teaching you that, well, you need to move out of the fucking way. Because those big fuck-off lasers will kill you instantly. We get our first view of the game over screen, or the continue screen. And you may notice that it said we have 3 continues. So if you're wondering what happens when we run out of those 3 continues, well, you start the stage all the way back at the lovely beginning. And if you're wondering, maybe if there's a checkpoint halfway through the mission, nope. You have to finish the entire mission without a checkpoint with only those 3 continues. Now, this may not seem initially hard, but you do have to realize this is just the introductory mission. This is as easy as this game is going to get. And needless to say, it does require a bit of exploiting in regards to the AI, because sometimes, well, for the most part, this game is pretty much going to stack the odds against Vanessa. And that is why it is a good idea to spam those energy drives as much as you possibly can. But to explain the energy drives a little bit, especially now that we have entered the, well, halfway point of the room, this is a continue. We can actually pick up and buy continues, even though if we look at this this little checkpoint area here, we can buy upgrades to our suit. As you can probably tell by the numbers, they are goddamn expensive. Nothing in this game is cheap. But, you know, since we have enough right now, I'm actually going to go ahead and buy a barrier upgrade. This will make us take a little bit less damage. And it's actually a good idea to upgrade all of those things because they are all especially useful. But you can also see here we can buy continues for a nominal fee, along with brand new suits to wear, but, you know, 80 to 90,000 is, as of right now, just a monstrous amount. But that does mean that we at least get one more continue to replace the one we have already lost in that previous room. And we get to deal with even more very samey corridors. And it is still a very good idea to make sure and clear out as many enemies, or all enemies, as possible, not only to work up a combo, but also to get the no damage bonus and to get the larger bonus at the end of each room. And just to give you an idea about how great dodging is, those missiles do, I think, about 3/4 of your health, and, well, they do have pretty good homing. Also, it never hurts to explore a little bit. There are sometimes little hidden items. But otherwise, well, you mostly just get very large, empty, blank, dead rooms. And Capcom was looking at this and they were like, man, this is so innovative. Explosions, lovely. And what's even better is, well, the complete inability to have situational awareness in this game. Sometimes you'll hear an enemy, and, well, sometimes you won't before they manage to lob a rocket at your face. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably, hopefully, if I do continue on with this, going to get some co-commentators, because if there was plot to talk about, or really anything to talk about, I would. I mean, there are interesting little things about the game. I mean, they obviously wanted to put some personality behind Vanessa, even though she really seems to be... She seems like she's being sold as some kind of sex object, especially in regards to some of her later outfits. But it is odd that she seems to be channeling some mysterious radio in her head. If you leave her just idling about, she will do that kind of nodding her head to the beat. And that's not to really say the music is awful, but it is very, very repetitive. So far what I've heard, there's about There's only about 2 or 3 tracks all total in the entire game, and they all sound very, 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 very similar. Which I guess goes with the overall thought process behind the game, which was to make the most samey, bland-looking, innocuous piece of garbage ever. And guess what? A lot of damage is to be taken. You do have to be very, very careful, and I don't know, the game may seem overly cheap at times, but it's mostly just practice. And I do apologize if you are interested in knowing the names of these godforsaken enemies. There are like 20 different enemy types in the game, but for some reason the designers felt the need to use a lot of German names. So rather than butchering them, if there's any better names that you would like me to abbreviate for them, I'd be more than happy to. I mean, Metal Gear Juniors or Snail Bots, little pissy satellites, whatever you want to call them. Needless to say, in the end, I want to call them fucking annoying because they just do so much damage. And it seems very random. And it also seems like it doesn't really make a lot of sense since they don't really put on the kitty gloves at all, even for a starting mission. I mean, take this room for example. On the bottom, we have 2 missile launching robots. And we have 3 little annoying satellite robots. And I wish I could say that the energy drives were easy to pull off. They do seem initially easy to pull off. I mean, the Swan maneuver, which is that 4 homing laser maneuver, simply pressing right, left, and A, but it seems completely arbitrary if it actually wants to pull it off. And, well, it's super useful when it does get pulled off, because you do get invincibility frame, but while you're trying to spasm out with the controls, well, you're probably going to get shot a lot by the lovely one-hit kill of the Snail Bot, or those fuck-off homing rockets of Metal Gear Jr. up there. Oh yeah, also the homing lasers, well, they mean fuck all if you don't have a lock-on, so make sure you have that. Also make sure you don't fire them in a very narrow corridor, because they will just hit the nearby walls and you'll just waste your fucking time. But we are actually very, very close to the end of the first stage here. We just have a very dangerous hallway before the final boss. Or for the first boss, I should say. Yeah, we get an obscenely long, empty corridor. They are nice enough to refill our health and energy. Now we get a view of just what types of bosses lay in wait for us ahead. That's right, it's a big, fuck-off, dull-looking robot with machine guns. Now, it may seem initially like this is going to be a difficult fight, but as it pulls out its mega fuck-off laser attack, well, we get a call from our mysterious client, who informs us, "He can't be destroyed with your current gear. You should run away." And I don't know. We run away. End of the first stage. Fuck you, game. See you next time.